Hi, and welcome back to Motor Coaching Newbie to Pro. And on this video series, we're going to talk about driving, safety, and security. To get started, obviously we're in the front of our motor coach, and you've purchased your motor coach or you've had it for a while and you're getting ready to go out on your first trip. And now what do you do as far as driving goes? The first thing to do is to know your switches. You have to be able to know where your switches are on your side panel and up on your dashboard area without even looking down. And the two most important ones to know are your air horn, which is my first one on the second row to the right, and my cruise control switches, which are on the levels above. You have your on and off, and then your cruise set and reset buttons. But when you're driving, you don't have the time to sit there, to look over, to read each switch, to know what it is. You need to be familiar with it prior to going out. So get in that driveway, look at the switches, and practice. Practice where they are to the point that you can do it with your eyes closed. Same with your dashboard switches and your lights, your air conditioning controls. Keep in mind, if you look down for just a couple of seconds to try to find something, you've gone 50, 75 yards on the road. And if your motor coach gets off onto the side slightly and it hits where that berm is, it's going to throw you over a little bit, and it's not a comfortable feeling. So it's very, very important to know where your controls are, how they work, and to practice with them. The next step is to make sure your mirrors are where you can see them. We have two, obviously, one on the left, one on the right. I use both just as often. I don't favor one or the other. But if they're not lined up correctly, I can't see the lanes behind me or to the sides of me, then there's going to be a problem, and we don't want to have that problem. So make sure you have complete view of both sides with your mirrors. The next important step is to make sure that when you're driving, you take your time. You're going to make a mistake or have a problem if you get rushed. Even if you're behind schedule, take your time. There's no need to be rushed on where you're going. Worst case is, if you're late, you pull over, find a Walmart or a place you can boondock, and you camp there for the night. Then you start up in the morning. No big deal. You have everything with you. It's like, why rush? So make sure you take your time. As you're driving, make sure you know the speed limits. If my GPS tells me what they are, but if the speed limit's 75 miles an hour, I am not driving this rig 75 miles per hour. The most I will drive it is 68. Once in a while I'll touch 70, but I keep it below that for safety reasons. I have 32,000 pounds, and it takes a lot to stop 32,000 pounds. It's not like your car, so you have to have a safe driving distance. And in order to maintain that, I slow down and I take my time. Stoplights. When you see a stoplight and if down the road a little bit, what I do is I start slowing down even though it's green, because with my luck, it's going to turn red as soon as I get to it, and then it's going to be an issue trying to stop in time. So if you see a stoplight, anticipate in your mind that that is going to be red when you get to it. So slow down and ease up on your speed so that if you do have to brake, you can. And remember, your braking distance just about triples in a vehicle this size. So it's not like your car where you can stop it fairly quickly. Practice. Practice, practice, practice. Whether it's the switches or driving in a parking lot. What we did was we went to Walmart when it closed, and we went around the parking lot learning how to maneuver, how you got to swing the front end around a little bit further before you make the turn, because the wheels on our rig are behind me. And that's a different feeling than the car when your tires are in front of you. So practice in a parking lot. Remember your height. Here on the windshield it says we're 12 foot 2 inches. So when you're driving, make sure you don't go under anything 12 foot 2 inches. Look for those low branches. They're on the side of the roads. I remember when we were in the Poconos, there was a branch out and it hit my side canopy and it tore the motor cover off the canopy, which I've still been unable to replace due to parts availability. So once again, always be aware of your surroundings. Don't get overconfident. Overconfidence is probably one of the biggest problems. You get out there, you'll be driving for your first 500 to 800 miles. You're going to think this is a piece of cake, and you start letting down your guard. Well, that's when things are going to happen. And believe me, they will. That's when I curved my front wheel once, and that's when I scratched the side when I was pulling in next to some bushes and shrubbery. And it happens because you get overconfident. So don't do that. Assume the worst is going to happen when you're driving and be prepared for it. Be defensive, not offensive. The next step is to make sure that you've pre-planned your route and you have stops, and you pre-plan your stops. When we're driving, we stop every 4 hours, take a stretch, maybe get something to eat, get something out of the refrigerator, an iced tea or a water or something, and just pre-plan that so you don't get overtired and exhausted, because it's a lot of concentration that you're going for, and you need to refresh your mind as you're driving. And also, when you're pre-planning, make sure when you're pulling into like a gas station and you're looking around for fuel, pre-plan where you're going to pull in. Remember, you're not a car anymore, and you're long and wide, and because of that, you need to have space to make your maneuvers. So pre-plan that. Is your fuel on the left or on the right to fill? So you have to plan which pump you're going to go to. You have to plan once you're in there. What I look at is, how am I going to get out? You can pull in easily, but can you pull out easily? Especially if you're towing a car behind you. You're adding another 20 feet behind your rig. So once again, pre-plan how you're going to get there. Once you're there, how you're going to get in, where you're going to park, how you're going to get out. The next step is, I use Jen, who's filming this for me. She's my co-pilot navigator. She'll maintain the GPS for me, so I don't have to worry about that. All I have to do is look down and see it. She'll help me with exits. If there's an exit coming up for fuel, she'll look for the signs and say, well, there's a bigger truck stop, you can get into there. It's very helpful to have somebody be a second set of eyes for you and a second set of hands, just because of the complexity of what you're trying to do. When you're in tight areas, remember, just because your front goes through doesn't mean your tail's going to go through. When you make a turn, that tail swings out to the sides. And if you're pulling away from a pump and you're turning the wrong way, you can hit the pump or the posts next to the pump that helps protect them. So keep in mind, when you're turning, watch the tail. Also, know your alarms that you have in your vehicle. For example, if your levelers are down, you have an alarm that's going to tell you that. If your brake pressure, air pressure, if you have air brakes, it gets low, there's going to be an alarm that tells you that. So get familiar with what those sounds are, and get familiar with the gauges and where the normals should be. Once again, you can't be studying them while you're driving, so it's more or less like a glance and look down. Along with your controls, remember to be comfortable. Get your seat set to the right angle you want. Get your steering wheel set to the right angle. And this one moves up and down, so you can adjust the height. And also make sure that your pedals, my pedals move in and out. So you want to move your pedals in and out to the most comfortable position for you, so that you are comfortable. And that makes it more relaxing for you. As you're driving, you're going to experience side winds, and side winds can throw you a little bit. We have extra stabilizers on the front steering, but it will jerk you to the left and the right sometimes. And if a tractor trailer goes flying by you, it can jerk you to the left or right. Or if you're in an open road and it's really windy, once again, you're going to have to learn to anticipate the wind and react to it. Worst case is, if it's too windy out, which I've experienced, I found a safe haven to pull over to, and you just ride it out and you wait. When you're parking, let's say you're boondocking in a Walmart or a truck stop for the night, and in our particular motor coach, it's more comfortable for us to put the sleeping slide out where the bed's at. Remember, if you're putting that slide out, you have to put it out where nobody's going to drive through and run into it, because it's sitting out 2.5 feet, so it's wider than your motor coach. So keep that in mind too when you're parking, part of that pre-plan. Where can I park that I can open up the slide if I want to and not have a problem with somebody hitting you? The next subject is safety. Safety is really important too, because you can get hurt, somebody else can get hurt, or your motor coach can get damaged. Safety, make sure you have somebody behind you when you're backing up. And it's just not have them behind you, but have them where you can see them behind you. A lot of times they don't realize that you can't see them. So you tell them if they can't see you in the mirror, you cannot see them in the mirror. So make sure you have good communication and that you can see each other and you understand what your signals are, the stop, left, right, or go ahead, or everything's okay. Allow extra space for when you're parking and backing up for safety. There's no need to be packed into somebody. If it's too tight, don't bother, move on. Find some other place that you can do to either park or sit for a bit. When parking for safety, use a wheel chalk. I put mine on the passenger side rear wheels. It depends which way the road's angled, whether it goes in the front or the back. But once again, if you don't have a chalk, you can pick them up. They're very inexpensive, and it's a good safety device to keep you from rolling. Even when I'm camping, I use the wheel chalk. Have a good roadside service program. We use Family Motor Coach Association's roadside service program. A lot of them will get somebody to you but limit the amount of towing. With theirs, I believe our program is they will get you to the closest facility that can repair you. But once again, it's good to have. Just because of the safety, you're out in the road trying to get fixed. They make sure you're off to the side. They ask you that, and they go through a series of questions for you, and then they'll get some help out to help you. When you get ready to leave or depart a location, you want to make sure you walk around your motor coach or walk through your motor coach. You're looking for things that are unattached, that can move around. Make sure your slides are in, your compartments are shut and locked, all your disconnects have been done. Inside, you're making sure that everything's stowed away properly so that nothing's going to fall and nothing will get broken, and everything's, once again, stored properly and safely. So you do a walkthrough and a walk around. Those are both very important. Have many flashlights for safety and have them accessible in different areas. We have a flashlight next to the bed. We have a flashlight in the kitchen. I have a flashlight up here in my center console. Flashlights, when it's dark out, aid you quite a bit and help to see. And so as I said, you can't have too many, so make sure you have at least 3 or 4 of them around. And then check them occasionally with the batteries to make sure that they function, because a flashlight that doesn't light is no good. Safety, as far as when you break down, make sure you know where your triangles are to put out in the road so people can see that you're down and can avoid you. Ours are on the second compartment on the driver's side, and make sure they're very accessible so that you can get to them. First aid kit for safety. We have one in the bathroom. It's basic, it's not very complex, but yes, it has your band-aids and antiseptics and some other items that you can use for injuries, personal injuries. But just make sure you have a basic first aid kit, and once in a while check it to make sure the items have not expired inside and that it's well stocked. The last safety tip I'm going to give you is your canopies. Make sure your canopies are in before you leave. You'll see that on your walk around. Make sure if it's a windy day and you're camping that you don't have them out, because the wind will take them off. Make sure that at night when we go to bed, I put them in, because at night you can get where we're at down here in Texas, the winds pick up almost every night, and I don't want to have to pay the repair bill to get a canopy fixed because I didn't put it in. If you're camping and you're going away for a while and leaving your motor coach for a couple hours, do yourself a favor, put the canopies in. It'd be nice when you come back to see if there's no damage done. As far as the next subject is security. Security for us is also part safety. Know where your emergency exits are. If you have to get out quickly, whether it's for a fire issue or somebody's breaking in and you want to get out, just know where your exits are. Know where your fire extinguishers are. Once again, that's a safety issue and it can be a security issue. If somebody's trying to break in and you don't have nothing in your hands that you can use to protect yourself, a fire extinguisher will work. But you have to know where it is. And once again, you have to know how to operate it. Also, in your motor coach, at least in our motor coach, we have a smoke detector. We know where it is. It's up in the ceiling, and we have to change the batteries occasionally. We have a propane sensor detector, and that's in the kitchen area down by the floor. And we have a carbon monoxide sensor in the back bedroom. When you're parking for security, make sure you park in areas that are well lit. If you're boondocking, if you're in your campsites, it's not too much of a problem normally. But out in the road in a truck stop or a parking lot, always park near a traffic light or a street light, excuse me, so that we're lit and we can see outside and we have that opportunity. Light keeps people away. But you need to have a plan for self-defense. If you're out camping or boondocking and somebody tries to break in, what are you going to do? You need to have a plan. I can't tell you what that plan is because everybody's plan's different. But in our plan, we will protect our home and protect ourselves. Also, for security, I highly recommend keeping a spare key hidden outside somewhere in a spot that's hard to detect. For security, we also keep a lockbox in our motor coach. In that lockbox, we keep our valuable papers and valuable personal items that we want to protect. So that would be another recommendation to do for security. Driving, safety, and security are something that you have to keep in mind at every trip you're going on, at every camping adventure you're doing. Thank you. Don't forget to check our bottom of the screen for the thumbs up if you liked what we did, and also please subscribe. This way, as we do our future videos, you won't miss them. The next video is going to be on the systems in our motor coach, such as the plumbing, electrical, air conditioning, heating, air conditioning. And we're going to talk about the basics and a good knowledge of what you need to know on how to operate them and do simple repairs if needed. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to us. Happy camping!